Three Aspects of Human Being, Part 3. We will continue with the verses relating to this topic. The next verse. The next verse is from chapter 23 of Quran, verses 12 to 16. First, Arabic. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ سُلَالَةٍ مِّنْ طِينٍ ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاهُ نُطْفَةً فِي قَرَارٍ مَكِينٍ ثُمَّ خَلَقْنَا النُّطْفَةَ عَلَقَةً فَخَلَقْنَا الْعَلَقَةَ مُضْغَةً فَخَلَقْنَا الْمُضْغَةَ عِظَامًا فَكَسَوْنَا الْعِظَامَ لَحْمًا ثُمَّ أَنشَأْنَاهُ خَلْقًا آخَرَ فَتَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنُ الْخَالِقِينَ ثُمَّ إِنَّكُمْ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ لَمَيِّتُونَ ثُمَّ إِنَّكُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ تُبْعَثُونَ. Translation. We have created man from an extract of clay. Then we made him a sperm drop in a firm resting place. Then we turned the sperm drop into a clot. Then we turned the clot into a fetus lump. Then we turned the fetus lump into bones. Then we clothed the bones with flesh. Thereafter we developed it into another creature. So glorious is God, the best of the creators. Then, after all this, you are to die. Then you are to be raised again on the day of judgment. These verses are informing us very clearly about the next stage of the creation of body. That is, after the creation of first body from earth, the subsequent bodies were created through male-female mating. Next verse. These verses are from chapter 15 of Quran, verses 27 to 29. First, Arabic. وَالْجَاءَنَّ خَلَقْنَاهُ مِنْ قَبْلُ مِنْ نَارِ السَّمُومِ وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي خَالِقٌ بَشَرٍ مِّنْ صَلْصَالٍ مِّنْ حَمَإٍ مَّسْنُونٍ فَإِذَا سَوَّيْتُهُ وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي فَقَعُوا لَهُ سَاجِدِينَ. Translation. And the jinn race we had created before from the fire of a scorching wind. Recall when your Lord said to the angels, I am going to create a human being from a wringing clay made of decayed mud. When I form him perfect and blow in him of my spirit, then you must fall down before him in prostration. These verses tell us about the following. 1. Human body was created from clay. 2. The nafs, who is the actual non-physical person, was then attached with the body by angels, who are deputed to perform all divine functions in this universe. 3. After this, God blew His Spirit into the body, which is our carrier. Next verse. These verses are from chapter 32 of Quran, verses 7 to 10. First, Arabic. الَّذِي أَحْسَنَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقَهُ وَبَدَأَ خَلْقَ الْإِنسَانِ مِنْ طِينٍ ثُمَّ جَعَلَ نَسْلَهُ مِنْ سُلَالَةٍ مِّن مَّاءٍ مَّهِينٍ ثُمَّ سَوَّاهُ وَنَفَخَ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِهِ وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ. وَقَالُوا أَإِذَا زَلَلْنَا فِي الْأَرْضِ أَإِنَّا لَفِي خَلْقٍ جَدِيدٍ بَلْ هُمْ بِلِقَاءِ رَبِّهِمْ كَافِرُونَ. Translation: Who made well whatever he created, and started the creation of man from clay. Then he made his progeny from a drop of semen, from despised water. Then he gave him a proportioned shape, and breathed into him of his spirit. And he granted you the power of hearing and the eyes and the hearts. Little you give thanks. And they said, Is it that when we disappear in the earth, is it that we really come into a new creation? Rather, they are ones who deny the meeting with their Lord. These verses clearly tell us about the following. 1. Human body was created from clay. 2. The nafs, who is the actual non-physical person, was then attached with the body by angels who are deputed to perform all divine functions in this universe. 3. After this, God blew His Spirit into the body, which is our carrier. Next verse. These verses are from chapter 38 of Quran, verses 71 to 72. First, Arabic. إِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي خَالِقٌ بَشَرٌ مِّن طِينٍ فَإِذَا سَوَّيْتُهُ وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِن رُّوحِي فَقَعُوا لَهُ سَاجِدِينَ. Translation: When your Lord said to the angels, I am going to create man from clay, so once I make him perfectly and breathe my spirit into him, you must fall down in prostration before him. These verses clearly tell us about the following. 1. Human body was created from clay. 2. The nafs, who is the actual non-physical person, was then attached with the body by angels who are deputed to perform all divine functions in this universe. 3. After this, God blew His Spirit into the body, which is our carrier. Next verses. These verses are from chapter 75 of Quran, verses 1 to 6. First, Arabic. لا أقسم بيوم القيامة ولا أقسم بالنفس اللوامة أيحسب الإنسان أن لن نجمع عظامه بلى قادرين على أن نسوي بنانه بل يريد الإنسان ليفجر أمامه يسأل أيان يوم القيامة. Translation: I swear by the day of resurrection, and I swear by the self-reproaching conscience that resurrection is a reality. Does man think that we will never reassemble his bones? Why can we not do so while we are able to reset even his fingertips perfectly? But man wishes to go on violating Allah's injunctions in front of him. He asks, when will be this day of resurrection? Before explaining these verses, please note that the methodology adopted in this book is: Number 1. The initial part of the chapter discusses the conclusions drawn from the verses of Quran. 2. Subsequent to this, all verses of the Quran are quoted from which these conclusions were formed. Let's understand Ruh, the spirit, once again before going to the explanation of these verses. What is Ruh or spirit? This is the spirit or divine spark of God, which could be termed as conscience. The Quran describes it as nafs lawama. It is attached with the body, that is our carrier, for further guidance of the actual personality. The function of the spirit or divine spark or the conscience is to rebuke the actual personality, that is the spiritual being called nafs, on the commission of bad deeds. This is termed as trust, also known as al-amana, at the end of Surah Al-Ahzab. Now the explanation of the verses 1 to 6 of chapter 75, which we are discussing. These verses are clearly informing us, number 1, rebuking or self-reproaching conscience, which is mentioned as Ruh in Quran, is a part of the tripartite concept of human being. 2. The soul or nafs, which is identified as insan in this verse, violates God's injunctions in the presence of his divine spark, which rebukes him when he intends to commit any wrong.